All right, welcome once again to Coffee and Conversations.
Morning, everybody.
So good to be here. We have a really special treat. This week is a special week because we are getting ready to gather again on Sunday mornings as a church.
Let's go. It's go time. We're back.
That's right. It feels so good to be able to say that after so many weeks.
Yeah.
Where we've had to make adjustments, do different things, find strategic ways to gather, to connect, to get sort of church family and community still happening. And we are so excited. Sunday mornings. We have a lot of plans, a lot of different things. And
It's a lot. Upstairs right now, I can hear all their feet running around the church right now, like little busy bees getting it ready. And honestly, like I'd love to open like yesterday. I would have loved to be open.
Oh, yeah.
But we need these couple weeks to get ready. You know, there's a lot. It's a lot.
There's a lot of different details. We're trying to like facilitate.
We had a 4-hour staff meeting.
Oh yeah, that was a doozy.
Yeah.
A lot of details, but it's exciting because I think coming out of it, there was some specific conversation we had in staff meeting today.
Yeah.
Sort of talking through some of the different ideas, some of the different plans that we've got to sort of keep in mind as we strategize coming back together. And I think I just thought it would be a really good idea to sort of have a conversation about sort of talking about gathering, what that's going to look like, but then also sort of the disparity between when you're in leadership, the responsibilities we carry as leaders, navigating those waters, and then also holding true to personal convictions and beliefs and sort of the, obviously I know we've all gotten, like either comments or conversations in sort of the full spectrum of opinions of the last, 10 weeks or so. So some of them have been doozies. For sure. But, a lot of times I think people just make assumptions when you're sort of having to navigate those waters about personal beliefs and convictions and sort of jump to like judgments on characters or opinion and stuff like that. And so I thought it'd just be fun to sort of have a conversation about that.
Yeah. It's been really interesting.
Yeah.
It's, I feel like even before this, we were going through the vaccine thing in Maine, we were going through the votes, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so we were talking about the whole vaccine argument. And I remember saying, we will find any reason to be divided. It's a spirit that wants to divide the church because it's unfortunate when the church gets divided over something that has nothing to do with Scripture, the Word, the Lord. You know what I mean? Like when we just find any reason whatsoever to be divided, we need to realize that there's a higher thing going on the Lord wants to call us to. And that's kind of the conversation. We're going to elevate the conversation out of all of the data, suggestions, and the uncertainties and conspiracies, and we need to elevate our conversations back up to the kingdom.
It's almost as if because there's a bit of a sort of a perceived platform in church where there's like public influence.
Right.
It's weird how people gravitate those personal ideas and opinions and bring it into sort of the church and using this sort of the church platform to sort of like get those ideas out and use that as a place of influence and really holding those two things separate.
Right.
In terms of like, no, why are we gathering together as a church? Growing as a body, equipping the saints, character formation. There's like that core thing, and these other deals you can care about, have passion about, go after or not go after, and you shouldn't be mixing them in that context. You know? What it sort of is like that whole thing Bill Johnson talking about, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod, being like the political spirit and the religious spirit, and sort of like as we gather, as we make decisions, as we're moving forward in vision, making sure that we're not basing those decisions in either one of those like root spirits, that is seeking to divide, seeking to keep people from gathering, from connecting as a body, as a family. Right.
Yeah, we got to be fellowshipping over unleavened bread. Yeah. We got to fellowship over the sanctified, the values of Jesus, and leave everything else at the door. The Jesus-centric conversations.
How's that worked in this last season? I know obviously you meet with pastors in town in sort of the broader sort of Waterville, Oakland area regularly. How have those conversations been going? I mean, what has that been like? Trying to maintain that same level of connection with a wide disparity of different beliefs and opinions and ways of going about this last season.
Yeah. I think for the most part, we are all incredibly together.
Yeah.
You know, what you actually find are the people that have worked this moment into their end times theology. Those are the ones that aren't necessarily bringing something to the table to unify us, rally us, and to see the gospel go forth.
Yeah.
They're operating out of concern that we are in the last days, and this is the fulfillment of their belief system, that this is the direction the world is going in.
Yeah.
But the majority of people are standing in the midst of this, and I'm so proud of our local pastors. They've just done an incredible job, and they've all been very, they've adapted. They've all been so encouraging.
Yeah.
There's been times where we're like, hey, are you doing that? I'm going to do this. Like, let's work together. I mean, we had an associate pastor just in our basement a few weeks ago saying, how can we put all of our resources, not start something new, but get behind you on the boxes of hope? You know, there's been a really amazing kingdom partnership. But it's kind of interesting then watching this like philosophical divide then begin to happen in some conversations among believers that are that they just have rooted in their theology that the world is bad, that the world is out to get me, and that we've got to hide and survive the last days. It's the great and terrible, not the great and glorious, right? And so you can just all of a sudden see there's some philosophical, theological thought process that hosts very different responses to these moments.
It's weird. It's like that shift where they begin to attach sort of morality and ethics onto an opinion or a way of doing something, sort of that phrase of moral equivalency, where it's no longer like your style, my style, your preference, my preference, this is what I think, this is what you think. It's like, no, this is right, this is wrong, and you're in sin, essentially. I mean, you're like, it's like that sort of level of intensity around some of the topics, you know?
Absolutely. And so those conversations have been few and far in between. It's not the majority. But it is interesting to watch people's theology, you know, what we believe determines how we behave. And so it's really interesting kind of like see this moment squeeze some people and to see their theology come out. Like some people really believe, and not that wearing a mask and not wearing a mask determines what you believe, but I just will say that I've just watched some leaders make decisions concerning the congregation that really reflects a powerless gospel, not a powerful gospel. And so that's been pretty interesting, you know, just watching that more even on a national level than just even locally. So
it's been, I think one of my, hardest things looking at this last season has been sort of the real divide in church and in church families and in believers. Honestly, it's been one of probably the hardest things I've seen play out over social media and discussions. You know, it's just been challenging. Just to be really frank, like it's just been sort of disappointing on some levels where it's like, man, like you guys are really attaching, you know, and I've caught myself too, like where I get a little too worked up on something and I have to like dial it back.
You're not
like,
valuing the connection now. You're valuing your information.
Like I'm ramping up and I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Hold on. You know, having to call myself back to it. So I understand it's difficult, but what that sort of brings me to sort of a topic that I sort of want to launch into Sunday mornings coming up into. But before we get there, the idea of honor and agreement. And sort of this idea of, you know, we talk about a culture of honor, we talk about how that works and stuff. And obviously the big one that obviously most people struggle with is when there's disagreement, how can we truly not just treat people with honor, but how can we truly honor people and respect them, value them, affirm them, communicate, like value that connection and still really disagree with the way they're sort of handling? Because coming into Sunday morning, there's gonna be some areas of probably some disagreement that will be sort of manifesting across our church body, and I really want to sort of set the stage well for us to continue to grow together, continue to be connected as a family, and not allow this to. Honestly, I think the enemy would try to take this and split people and divide people aggressively.
Well, one thing that we know about the season is it really has tested the values in each community of believers. And the ones that we have created, the values that we've created, we've latched on to certain kingdom values, and then we've instituted them into the way that we build our church and we operate in the way that we lead. And so, so for me, I'm very much a values thinker.
Yeah.
And so I approach everything I do and every decision. I mean, you've seen me mentally process in situations. I'm like, well, but what's the greatest value?
Yeah.
What is our goal? What is our mission and our values? And then base everything we do and how much we're investing based upon a core set of values. And one of the things that we have been trumpeting and preaching is being tested right now is that we value people over organizations. We value love is of the highest value in the kingdom. And so so there are situations and conversations where I have to come to terms with the fact that my connection with you is more valuable than the conversation I'm having with you. Right? Yes. And so if you are more valuable, I'm not fighting to be right, I'm fighting for your heart. And so that means that I will construct and even withhold information in my conversation, knowing that it has the ability to do damage to your heart and to our connection. And that connection is a higher value than the information we're discussing right now. And so that determines then how I behave towards you, because my number one priority and value is to reveal the love of the Father into every connection that I have and every interaction that I have. Not that we do that perfect, but we're always looking for that value. So how do agreement versus honor? I can disagree with what you say, but value who you are. And what I mean by that is that we may both love football. I love football, right? And we may both equally love and study and love certain parts of football and watch football and do fantasy football. But you like the 49ers? How did you come out of this liking the 49ers? We were looking at the same information, the same players, we're listening to the same interviews, but you like the 49ers. How dare you? Now, am I going to...
Joe Montana, 1989, man.
You're living in the past, bro. You're living in the past. So... For me, I look at these situations very similarly. And some people will go, oh, my passion's bigger than football. Well, don't take it as a demeaning to your passions. But what I'm saying is that we can look at the same information, come out with different results, but actually honor each other's equal passion for the same subject.
There's that element of looking for the place, not of agreement, but of value, shared value. Like I value our connection, I value your heart, I value our relationship, I value who you are in this area. Wow, look at your decision that you chose to do this is out of
the same value.
Yes,
makes me do something different.
Yes, we both value people, and so you're choosing not to give people hugs.
Right.
And you're choosing to sort of not hug people. I, maybe on the other hand, am no, I'm like people that are comfortable with it, no, I'm giving you a hug because I love you. Two totally different choices out of the exact same value.
Right.
Because of our understanding, history, context, who knows what.
Right. And if someone were to sit down with me and go, Jamie, don't give me leadership talk. Give me your direct opinions about politics. You're going to find out I'm an intense conservative. I'm a straight up red state Republican, should probably live in the Bible Belt type of conservative, right? And but people may not pick that up from me. And the reason why is because, and I think I really rub people the wrong way, is that I don't live in a way that waves a flag in my front yard, because I have come to the terms with the belief that Democrats, Republicans want the exact same thing. They just pick entirely different ideologies on how they get to the same goal. I actually believe Democrats are pro-life. People go, what? Well, they're pro the poor, they're pro the sick, they're pro, there's a lot of areas where they're more pro-life than Republicans are, but we stake the ground saying because we protect the unborn, we're the pro-life group, right? And I look at it and go, but there's the death penalty and, there's all these different things. I'm like, but they're better at that than us. They're pro the environment, they're pro all this stuff. And so I go, listen, we want the same thing. We want lives to like thrive and flourish, and we pick two very different roads. So what we're doing is we're fighting over directions, not goals. So for me, I go, if I want to like honor somebody while in disagreement, I can actually look to the fact that we share the same goal, and we've picked different directions. I disagree with your directions, but let's hopefully agree and honor each other that we're trying to accomplish the same exact thing. And I think we can do that in this moment. And actually find a place where we are valuing connections and love and who people are and what they're going after. We can value that without dividing over the directions that we're taking to get there.
It's interesting too, because the I think that like one of the things that is difficult for people is when the direction someone's choosing is actually sort of opposite, not opposite, but like it feels contrary to the value system you're trying to agree on. Does that make sense? So if we just stay in the political realm for just a moment, right? Like, no, we're pro-life, no, we're like pro this, pro that, and what ends up happening is the direction someone's taking to get to this sense of shared value system. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it feels like the road you're taking feels very contrary to the value system I'm trying to find that you're having. Does that make sense? Like, no, your choice to get there is very anti this value system. And I think that's where people really begin to break down. They'd be like, Jamie, no. Like, if someone is a Democrat, they are not pro-life. Like, how can you say you're pro-life?
I know. I know I probably have already triggered people watching this. I know that.
Oh, for sure you have. Sorry, guys, we love you all. Like,
I know that. I know that.
Though. Like,
but the reality is, and I think I've been saying this to a lot of people, is that we do ourselves a great disservice when we build this sense of confidence that we are powerful influencers when we surround ourselves with people that agree with us. Right? And so like our world is smaller than we think that it is. And there's incredibly effective and powerful gospel kingdom people that believe differently than you do. And their belief on the matter doesn't change their posture before the Lord. So all of a sudden there's something bigger at play here than what we believe on the political realm. I go into England, and I go into Europe, and I'm talking to these guys, and they're changing the world, and revival, and signs, and wonders, and miracles. And they
love Jesus.
They love Jesus, like the kind that makes me jealous, right? And then I'm talking to them, and they go, Donald Trump. I'm like, I love Donald. And they're like, Donald Trump, he is so ungodly, and like all of a sudden we're like, we were so deeply connected, inspiring each other, and we hit the subject we disagree. What do you mean? Your disagreement means that you must not love Jesus as much as I do. Hold up, time out. We just like crossed into illegal territory, right? And so we've created some beliefs about each other that are just like absolutely wrong. And we have caused mixture in our understandings and our belief of each other that are just plain simply wrong. And it has no kingdom and eternal impact. Now I say that once again, if you're to sit with me, with the cameras not rolling, you're gonna find out like, dude, I'm like at the abortion clinic waving the sign, dude. Like I am like a staunch conservative. But I have cultivated in my life a belief that people, like God doesn't agree with me on some of my opinions about people. Like I don't have his permission. I don't have his agreement. And so there are some things where I've just realized that there are things far more worth honoring inside of people apart from their opinions about some matters that we disagree about. So it's really easy for me to now see people as beautiful, holy, and beloved before the Lord. Like there are passions in their heart where even if the Lord's like, I don't agree with like the way that you're going about this, like even about abortion, like maybe there are people so passionate about women justice that they've like crossed the line into being okay with murdering the unborn. For me, I'm like, okay, I think you crossed the line there with your decision making, but I can actually really see in your heart and see a value for like fighting for women and like the hearts of women. Like I can actually honor your passion. And so in conversations sometimes I will tell them exactly what I'm honoring. Like I love your passion for, for immigrants. I love your passion for women. Like, I'm with you in that. Like, I would love to find a way that we can preserve passion for women in the lives of the unborn. How can we do it together? Because I want to share your passion for like racial equality. I want to share your passion. And if my behaviors doesn't look like I'm sharing, I want to listen and engage the conversation and honor it and say, how can we come out of both of our ditches of political behaviors and come to the middle ground to get true justice for these subjects, you know? And so even in this moment, like, it's like businesses need to reopen. Why do you hate people? Those are the two ditches that we need to, you know, COVID-19 is fake. What? You know, people are dying, people are sick, like, what? And you know, like, you're a conspiracy theorist, you hate people, like, we got to get out of our ditches and actually find a way to like really value the voice, the belief, the passion in each other, and be 100% okay with disagreeing.
It's always it's just surprising to me where you really do, like, when you get into a world, you get locked into it, you're hearing things, and then you run into someone that disagrees or has a differing opinion of yours just as strongly as you. It's really easy to just entrench. Just entrench and hold ground, and like, you're the reason why we have this problem to begin with. Like, you know what I mean? So like, if I fix you, then we're not going to have this problem. No, it actually has nothing to do with that at all. You know? So I think that, like, obviously coming into it, like a Sunday, coming into like regathering, we are working really hard to create an environment that really is honoring people and valuing the sense of kingdom, valuing the sense of like, we get to gather as a body. Regardless of whether or not you are very strict on your social distancing, whether you're sort of not as strict on social distancing. Do you know what I mean? Like, creating an environment that, like, people coming in on a Sunday morning, they're not gonna, I don't know, I could imagine there'd be concerns. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how they're gonna be treated. Hey, if I don't want hugs, like, I don't want that to be like this weird scarlet letter sort of like, everyone's rejecting me because now I just want to try to have social distance. For who knows what reason.
9 people out of 10 are hugging and high-fiving, and there's a person going, I don't feel comfortable with it yet. Are they going to feel alienated in an environment that's starting to gather together? I think that's like a real danger zone for how we move forward. Right? And it really is going to be important about, once again, being a community that has kingdom values. Right? And we have to, you know, we look at some scriptures and we just kind of get narrow-minded on, like, you know, let us gather all the more as the day approaches, and that's all we're looking at. But look at what Paul says. He said, to the Jew I became a Jew, to the Greek I became a Greek. I did whatever it took. I became all things to all men in order that I might win some. You know, in Romans it talks about, don't let your liberties become a vice of division for somebody in their weakness. Like, you know, and that's the whole thing of, like, you're fine drinking a glass of wine, but it might cause your brother to stumble. So guess what? Lay down your liberty for the sake of their heart. Like, these are kingdom values. This is the Father's heart for the weak and the broken and those who are concerned and those who are sick and those who are vulnerable. And honestly, like, for me, the conversation really comes down to, are we preaching to those that agree with us? Or is our gospel for even those that feel vulnerable and nervous and scared and feel like they need to operate in some guidelines? If our gospel is not for them, then we're not operating in the kingdom. We're operating within a Christian organization. Right?
Totally.
And so we need a gospel that transcends our Christian organization of our little band of brothers that all agree. That's where, like, cults get created, dude. We're not a cult. We are a kingdom that's available to all men, and where our light's supposed to shine. We've got to have a gospel that transcends the culture and the environment and lands on every heart. And I'm concerned that churches are going to become cults during this time, where they literally are just defying everything, calling conspiracy, and denying anybody who should be hearing the message of love in the gospel or alienated by their decisions. And that's not the Father's heart. The Father's heart is that we would operate with common sense and work with our community and make space for people to come in and encounter the Lord. And that's going to look like us going, you're practicing social distancing. I love you and I value and respect your decision, and I am not going to break relationship with you. I am not going to say, I'm not going to have weird, like, jokes about it. You know,
Yeah.
if you're going, hey, I'm practicing social distancing, I'm not going to make a scene about it. And
let me walk around you.
yeah, like just as a joke, like I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I totally support you. And
Air hug.
Air hug, high fives, over there. You know, like that's the environment we need to create for everyone can come in. You can practice your liberties of not wearing a mask and sitting next to a friend. Somebody else can say, I feel more comfortable sitting a little bit distance away, but I'm so happy to be here with you.
I think it comes back to really understanding we're meant to carry the word of reconciliation.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whenever I hear these sort of debates and struggles and back and forth, I come back to this thing of like, Paul was so clear that like Jesus came to reconcile the world to the Father, and now we're meant to carry that same thing. Like, our perspective is rooted in the idea that we are meant to reconcile people to God. Why would we create a system or a style that would be so offensive that would drive people away from the very call that we're meant to be carrying?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Like,
and that's where we need to be bridge builders.
Yeah.
And we need to fight for connection and unity. We need to create an environment where everyone feels the Father's love.
Yeah.
If you are practicing social distancing right now, the Father's not in heaven mocking you.
No, not at all. Not even as a joke, like,
Can we get every Christian to believe that way?
Yeah.
The Father in heaven's like, I wish I had a Facebook account. I would just blow up your newsfeed right now. Like, could you imagine? Like, the Lord is not doing that.
Oh, no.
And our job
The Lord isn't socially distancing you because you're choosing to socially distance. You know?
Totally.
You know, it's
and,
like...
and our job is to reconcile the world back to the Father, to reveal His love.
Yeah.
I wish every believer would just like stop and think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And once again, dude, I watched Plandemic. I sent you the link to Plandemic. Listen, I've listened to the headlines. I've watched the news.
Yeah.
You better believe there's a reality I'm listening to right now far more than the news headlines and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. I read it and I'm like, this is all so interesting. What a crazy world we live in.
Yeah.
Thank God I am a pilgrim. I am an ambassador from another world.
Yeah.
That, you know, and I'm thinking I'm from another kingdom.
Yeah.
And I'm living in a way, you know, can I tell you this story? Actually, can I tell you this story?
For sure.
Shan and I went on our first date night. The restaurant's open, right? Went on our first date night. Oh, this is so bad, guys. So we're in the restaurant. We're sitting down, and this restaurant we went to got a new chef, and they're just kind of coming out like being really rusty. You know? Like they're running around. They couldn't handle it and stuff. And there's this couple next to us, and they were being awful. Awful to the waitress. And she's so lovely. And she's bubbly. And she said to us 4 times, we're just so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Like, we didn't know people would come. We're just so thankful. They had their masks on, and they were like, they were just being so good about it. And this couple next to us, we're sitting there, and they were being so awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm wondering if I should go further. But anyways, it was just like these interactions, and it started like conspiracy theory, like unwanted conspiracy theories. And really, and like something on the plate was wrong. And and I had this thought, God, I hope they're not Christians. Yeah. Because they were just being so rude, right? And sure enough, they started like talking about their church and about you know, faith, all this stuff between each other, and Shen and I were like, oh no, because here they are in a moment where like my wife's plate was completely wrong, and we were just like, listen, like, this is a crazy time. The last thing you need is stress. Like, we want to like bless you. Please go back to the chef and tell him it's okay. Like, we're here. We're just happy to be here. We're happy to be re-engaging normalcy. You know. I'm saying all that to say is that like, we cannot represent ourselves that way. To anybody in any world, any sphere, we have to represent the Father's love, and that looks like creating a very inclusive environment for those that are still worried, concerned, cautious, and we have to host them well. We have to create guidelines. Not that everyone has to follow them, but we want to create suggested guidelines that will protect those that come in that are concerned and are cautious. We want to host our community really well. It's not because we believe everything works and because we're big believers in mass and we are waving the Janet Mills flag. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, we want to host an environment where the gospel message can penetrate the heart and people can experience the love of the Father.
And even to like to add to that, like it's not even about not having conviction or not being willing to stand in the front and like take a hit because of something we believe on. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
sometimes I feel like people hear that side and like the response is like, oh, they must just not have courage to like take a stand for what's right. You know what I mean? It's like none of that is true. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it takes a lot of courage and boldness to say like, no, this is what we believe in. This value is governing how we're making decisions as an organization, as a church body right now.
Can I just say, do you realize how scary it is for a leader?
Yeah.
To actually not agree and like not make bold statements of agreement with people that I know follow us.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people would love to see me at a rally or things like that, kind of saying, oh, reopen the church against rights. Do you realize, like, I agree. I would love to have opened our church. I would have loved to have never closed. Yeah. And if it had it my way, I would have done that. But when I go to the Lord and pray and get what I feel like the Lord's asking us to do, and our whole team is praying, and we're all in agreement, and we're like, okay, Lord, we're going to take this on. Do you realize how bold it was to actually do something that took a lot of courage and faith to step away from our normalcy and to do what we feel the Lord's asking us to do, to be adapted to a situation, and to avoid saying things that I feel like would be divisive for some, but would rally the ones that agree, but would alienate other people. Like I had to hold my tongue at times, because that I realized that's not what the Lord's saying. That's just my opinion. Yeah. And it would be awesome for people to like high five me and to agree with my opinion. Yeah. That's not what he's saying.
It feels good. It feels good to say something bold and have a few high fives.
Shares. You know, like it takes a lot of courage to actually shut your mouth and go, Lord, I only want to say what you're saying in this time. And I only want to do what you're doing. I only want to, I know that I have permission to have my opinion, but I know that I can also lay that permission down just to be obedient and to represent you really well.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that like just as a church body, for us to sort of really grab that value system as we're kind of moving into this next month. The month of June, a lot of things are sort of changing, opening up on varying levels. And just as like a governing principle that we are choosing to value and honor people because like that love for them is reflective and representative of our love for Jesus. Right. And like that's how it's manifesting in our community. And we want to do things that continue to steward that relationship, to continue to steward that love for people, and continue to be like bridge building in our community and in the world around us.
Right.
Because we want the message of the gospel to go as far and as wide as we can get it, without watering it down, without watering down the message of the gospel in any way. Like that is a very hard line we have here, and I know that. Right. And so it's just really good.
Yeah, and you know, I think when you build a community with the values of the kingdom, then you host the King.
Yep.
And if we continue to approach this whole season from the values of the kingdom, and keep going back to the word of the Lord, and we avoid our temptations to join human movements and all that, but we just do what we feel like the Lord's calling us to do. We're obedient and we're hosting the kingdom. Then we get to host the King. Yeah. And that's our goal. We want to host the King of Kings. Yep. We want His presence to come. We want lives to be changed and transformed. I am not concerned as much as the whole global pandemic as I am about the King and His kingdom. Yeah. And I will not get off my vision and my focus of hosting Him, agreeing with Him, aligning with Him, being in His presence and doing whatever He is doing. That is my job. Yeah. That is my role. And I reserve my right to do whatever the heck I want in order to follow my King. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's the mind that we have to have. And we're going to have tons of guidelines. Yeah. And we're going to have suggestions. And we're going to have like green stickers and red stickers and go, I'm hugging and I'm, and I'm, we're going to have all that in place and we're going to have some fun with it. Yeah. And it'll be fun to be back home and worshiping together. But the people that are still in line and not coming, we love you, and you're not angry. It is not determined if you're part of our community.
That's what I was gonna say. It doesn't it's not reflective of whether
you are part of our family.
Yes, 100%. An
important part of our family, and you're engaged. And we love that, and we're not going to create a tiered system of engagement because you're here and you're not, and like we're not doing that. We will avoid the temptation, and we will shut down that kind of thing creeping into our community, and we're going to protect it. We're going to lead it.
Awesome. Well. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know this is like a sort of some sticky water, some shaky waters, topic-wise and stuff, but I just is like.
Anybody upset on?
I just think it's really necessary. So
important.
This is, and it again, like this is really unscripted. Just like people know, like this is legit from our heart.
5 minutes before we started talking, I was like, all right, ask the questions, man. Let's go.
Yeah. We love you guys. We're
Love you
so
all.
excited for this new season.
31st, Pentecost Sunday.
Woo!
Go.
Yes.
Let's go.
All right.
Back, baby.
Good.
See everybody.